Get ready.
This is the voice of Wayne America.
Lighten up, Francis.
With your host,
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here.
Mike Carnes.
How do you measure yourself with other golfers?
My height.
Only at WayneAmerica.com.
The supernova's gonna kill us all.
Okay, this guy is the real zero, that's true. Let's just think back when you guys were freshmen, huh?
.com.
Hello and welcome to the Voice of Wayne America podcast, an exclusive here on WayneAmerica.com. I'm Mike Carnes and your host here on the Voice of Wayne America podcast. Every time we do it here on WayneAmerica.com, we talk about something going on here in Wayne, or talk with somebody that's got something going on here in Wayne. And our sponsor here is Providence Medical Center in Wayne, and we'll talk about them here in a little bit. But as we sit and record this morning, it is the first day of the 2018-19 school year, and classes are underway at Wayne Community Schools, the high school and elementary school full of students as they get ready to go through the upcoming school year. And we thought, since that's going on here this week, that we would sit down and talk with the superintendent of schools, Mark Lenihan, to talk about the upcoming school year and what to look forward to as far as the school is concerned. Mark, I know you're, as I said, we're just a couple hours into the first school day here as we sit and record this. How are things going so far?
Well, so far so good. I think everything went well this morning. We, of course, today, first day of running the bus routes, and of course the fog cooperated there, so there's a little fog out this morning at that time, but I think all of that went well, and the kids, I was over at the elementary. I tend to like to start over there, it's just so fun to watch those little kids come in and their new shoes and backpacks and tears of sadness and some tears of joy from parents, I think. It just depends. If it's their first child dropping off they're in kindergarten. I remember that a long time ago, but that was a sad day, I guess. But then when they're in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, maybe tears of joy that school has started. So, but no, it went really well. I think, people are excited to be back. I joke around, but I think kids generally like school and like the routine and like being back with their friends. And it's always a real exciting day.
Yeah.
The web set up some nice saying, kind of some chalk sayings along the sidewalk. The web is the Wayne Elementary Boosters, and they set up a rock garden with some painted rocks, and looks really nice over there, very welcoming. And this building, the 712 building too, I think the kids are pretty excited about coming back. So
Yeah.
things went well to get off to a good start. Of course, today is just a half day. We kind of just bring them in to run them through the routine and get them out. Tomorrow's the first full day of school, so that'll be an adjustment for everybody too.
Yeah, I still remember when I took my daughter to her first day at kindergarten, and I tell her I can still visualize the dress and everything for that first day. And I remember that my ex-wife and I were talking to each other about, how are we going to handle it, if she, gets all emotional and upset and doesn't want to leave and yada, yada, yada. And we got up to the school, and she just kind of gave us a hug and a kiss, said, bye, see you guys later, and went into school. We were the ones that were emotional walking.
That was a hard day. I'm the same. I remember my kids, we were in Minnesota at the time, and they got on the bus, and it was kind of the same thing. They were, just on the bus they went, and it's like, oh, wow, here we go. So, but it's fun, and it's good for the kids, and, our staff is so welcoming to students, and they really greet them and want to make sure they have a good start. So
yeah. Now, got a number of new faces here as far as teachers this year. I think there's a couple teachers here that I think are Wayne High alumni. So that's kind of neat for them to kind of come full circle in their education and go from being a student here to now being a teacher here and teaching the next generation.
Yes, we've had several people, and not only teachers. We have some para-educators that are alums, and also the Wayne Community School Foundation hired an alum, Brandon Foote, who went to school here. That's pending their board approval, but I think that happens on Monday. So, yeah, it's great to see people come back, bring their families back, and a lot of it, when you talk to them, the reason they want to come back is because they had a good experience here, and they want to raise their families here, and so it's nice to see people coming back kind of after going out. And doing different things to want to be part of the school system here.
I think it speaks well to the longevity of the staff here that some of these young teachers that are starting out, and I'm sure that if you ask them that they were inspired by a teacher here to look at the education field as a possibility for their career choice, and so I think that speaks well to the quality of staff here, that you would have kids that would want to come back and be a part of that.
Absolutely, and they talk about that. They think when we interview, we always, why do you want to be a teacher? Why do you want to come back to Wayne? And usually that's comes up, and that someone inspired them to be a teacher, and they went to school here and had a good experience, and they want to give back. So. And a lot of our graduates tend to go into education. A lot of it, we have Wayne State College right here in our backyard, and a lot of our students are going there. I think half of our graduating class is attending Wayne State this year, and Wayne State is known for their teacher prep as being an exemplary school in that area. So, we do tend to have a lot of our students go into education, and hopefully that's a sign that they're having a good experience at the school here, and they want to be part of that. So
yeah, what are some of the new things that people in the community when you talk about Wayne Community Schools? What are some of the new things you've got going on this year?
Well, the new staff, what we talked about, there's several. We had 4 retirements, and we had 3 people that moved out of the area. So a lot of it this year has been just making sure they're prepared, and we set up new teacher. Anybody who's new, we set up with a mentor teacher. So. We try to work closely with them just to make sure that these first few days, weeks go well. And so a lot of it is just working on making sure that we're ready. This is actually the first summer since I've been in Wayne that we have not had a construction project going on. So it was a nice summer. Our maintenance crew did an excellent job. They spent a lot of time just cleaning, painting. If you look around the buildings and the grounds, they look awesome. And so that's a real positive thing, and we needed that. Our buildings needed a good cleaning. When you do all that construction project, dust settles, and there were areas that hadn't been cleaned for quite some time. So that was a big focus of the summer. Of course, one big thing that I think people are aware of is we have 4 sections of kindergarten this year. We have a kindergarten class of, I believe it was at 83 at last count.
Wow.
Which is large especially for a young class like that in that age group. So we opened a 4th section, and we had to do a little construction. We had to remove a wall in a certain area at the elementary school, and then we had to build a few walls in different areas to replace. We had a counseling office and a sped office that we had to move. So we actually did a little bit of construction there over at that building. But so we have 4 sections of kindergarten, which is great for enrollment and everything else. And so that's kind of a big focus, is just, I think a lot with all of the new faces too, in both buildings, just making sure we're ready for new students, welcoming them, making them feel part of the school system. But otherwise, it's kind of a year where we're really kind of just starting from where we left off. We do have our advanced ed external school improvement review later this fall. So that's something our staff is going to work on. That's a 5-year process that every 5 years we have a visit from an external team that spends about 3 days here just kind of checking things out and asking questions and talking to a lot of people. So we have preparations for that really on the docket now. Heading into, I think it's in December that our visit happens. So a lot of what we're doing this year is just kind of continuing what we've been working on. Of course, our FFA program is in year 2. That was a big new thing last year that continues to grow. And so really just kind of moving forward from there. The elementary school has a new reading series, so the staff is working closely with the new curriculum and getting things going there. So really new this year. There's not a lot, but we've done a lot of new things over the past, and sometimes it's kind of nice just to let the dust settle a little bit and just continue as we've been going. So that's that's really a lot of what we're doing this year.
About the only thing I can think of that where things are pretty much the same from last year is in sports. You've got pretty much the same coaching staff from last year, with one exception being girls basketball. Lindsley McLaughlin moving over to Wayne State College to be an instructor there, and then her replacement is a new body, at least to the position, but an old face with Rocky Rule coming back.
Yeah, that's right, and that's something that we feel really good about. That transition was certainly, anytime you have people leaving, you miss their contributions, and Lindsay did a great job. She was wonderful to have here, and of course, she was also our foundation director, so Brandon will fill that role. And then Rocky will be the girls' coach, and I know he's very excited about getting back into the head coaching. He had been helping the boys program, and so I know Rob Sweetland was a little depressed that he was losing his veteran experience there, but we're excited about that, and it's good to have that stability too. I think that when it comes down to it, having those programs have people that have been around for a while now, I think really builds some stability, and I'm excited for our extracurricular season in all of our events, not only athletics, but our marching band. They'll be out in the mornings again. People hear them. We have a very strong fine arts program, as everyone knows, with music and our choir program and band, and so I think we're going to have a really good year. I feel good about things there, and I think we have good people in those places that will be leading those programs. Yeah,
I always look forward to the musical every year, and it just seems like those kids, just whatever the musical is, and whatever the challenges that come with that musical, they knock it out, and they just do a fantastic job. Tracy Anderson and everybody involved in the fine arts and the musical stuff, it's just top notch whatever they do.
It really is, and the thing that impresses me the most is when you're at the play and you see the kids performing. Those are the same kids that are on the track team. A lot of them in the speech program.
One act.
Last year they were at FFA conference the same week of our convention, and you're not supposed to call it conference; it's a convention. We had that going. We had prom because we had to move prom. We had the play. All of that was going on within about 10 days, and I'm like, I don't know how these kids do it, because they must not sleep much. So, or they drink those high energy drinks or something, because that's what's, I think, really special about this place is kids have a tremendous amount of opportunities that they can, and our staff is so good at making sure that they work things out. We had vans going down to Lincoln to pick kids up that were finished at FFA to get them back here for a track meet and for the play. And so I think people really do that here. They really go over and above to make sure that our students, get those opportunities. And I think that's what makes it special here, and it's really neat to see.
Yeah, I just marvel at what some of these kids do, and all the activities that they're in, and it's like, when do you study? When do you sleep? When do you have time for family and the stuff that you do in the community? It's amazing what these kids do, and they do it day after day and year after year. It's just,
they do, and they excel in the classroom, and that, that's what's impressive too, is they're so busy, and yet they're maintaining excellent grades. They're doing well on their ACT tests, and they're getting really what it comes down to, I think, is when they graduate, are they prepared for their next phase of their life, whatever that is, whether that's college, military, career, whatever option they take. And what we find is our students have no trouble being accepted into colleges. They're getting scholarships. They're able to do what they want to do once they leave. And a lot of that has to do with I think, really good preparation, not only from our school, but the support that we receive from our community, from our parents. I think all of that goes into play with that, and we're graduating just some excellent students, that young men and women that are ready to go out and make a difference in the world. So that's I've always said my favorite day of the year is today. My second favorite day of the year is graduation, because it really kind of shows what we do with our kids and how they step up. And so today is number one, though. If you don't like today, then and you're in education,
you're probably in the wrong job.
So it's exciting.
Definitely. We're talking with Mark Lenihan, superintendent of schools here at Wayne Community Schools on the Voice of Wayne America podcast. Wanted to take a moment to talk about Providence Medical Center here in Wayne. They're proud to announce the addition of a new surgical procedure that they now offer at the hospital. It's called shoulder arthroscopy. The surgical procedure is for those who have rotator cuff injuries, where the surgeon inserts a tiny camera and the necessary instruments through small incisions in the shoulder rather than doing an open procedure with a large incision that leaves an ugly scar sometimes. Dr. Joseph Caro specializes in orthopedic surgery for Providence Medical Center. He is also the team physician for Wayne State Athletics and also offers his expertise at multiple high schools here in the area. For more information, check out Providence Medical Center's website at www.providencemedical.com. That's Providence Medical Center, extraordinary care rooted in compassion. Talking with Mark Lenihan, the superintendent of schools at Wayne Community Schools here on the Voice of Wayne America podcast, and we're recording this here during the first day of school, and so far so good. No major catastrophes or any major problems going on. Everything is going smooth and fantastic for the first day, and I know that. Of course, this also has to be paid for somehow, and the school budget is in the process of being approved for the upcoming fiscal year. I believe the fiscal year starts October 1st.
Right? September.
September 1st.
Yeah,
okay,
that's right.
So board looking at that right now, and I imagine we'll see them approve a budget here at their next meeting. And I guess looking ahead at the budget, what do taxpayers have to look forward to as far as the budget's concerned?
Well, yeah, the budget process really starts in the spring. We start looking at our expenditures and just making sure that we have the support we need for the programs. So I think every board meeting since March or April, we've been talking a little bit about budget and where we sit in terms of that. So a lot of it, that drives a lot of where we need to be. It's a little tricky this time of year because we'll receive our assessed land valuation on August 20th from our county. And then we have about 10 days to turn that around into a budget because the fiscal year actually runs September to August. The board approves the budget at the September board meeting, which is about this year I think it's the 10th or 11th of September. So a really quick turnaround once we receive our land valuation. So what we have to do is make sure that all of our expenditure lines are where we want them. So then we plug in the assessed land valuation numbers and generate our tax levy and that type of thing. We are looking at a growth of no more than 1.5% in our expenditures this year, which I think is really good. We're going to try and keep it as low as we can. Things, our budget increases based on salary, maintenance, lighting, heating, cooling, all those things. Most of our budget is in staff. When it comes down to it, it's probably about 80% of our budget is our staff, and then of course our buildings and maintenance and that type of thing too. And so we're hoping to keep the general fund expenditures down below 1.5%, which I think is pretty good. Then we also want to, from the revenue side, try and keep our tax request as close as we can to last year's. So that's where when that comes in with our evaluations, when those come in, we plug that in. Our district really is funded about 83% of local tax revenues generates. That's where our district funding comes from.
So about 83% of everybody's dollar in taxes that they spend or that they pay goes toward the school.
Well, no, not necessarily that. It's more 83% of our budget is funded on local taxes.
Budget. Okay, gotcha. Okay,
and that's unfortunate. I think our state needs to look at that. Rural districts are not supported well by the state of Nebraska in terms of money coming to support our general fund. We do receive some funding. We receive some option enrollment funding, and we also receive some federal funding to support our federal programs. But the state really needs to look at how to find a way to bring that balance back, because right now much of our budget is dependent on our local taxpayers, and then about 60 to 65% of that is dependent on our agricultural property tax owners, our farmers. And so It's just a little bit out of whack right now, and I know the economy is not great, and so we're looking at trying to do the best we can to maintain a pretty flat increase in terms of what our property tax request is. I don't know what that's going to be until we get our numbers from our county assessor. So once we get that, we'll plug those in and try and, we understand the situation right now with agriculture, and we want to make sure that we're as responsible as we can be to them, but also make sure we're supporting the programming that we have and the work that we're doing. So it's kind of tricky, but I think we're in a pretty good position fiscally. I think we're solid. We're in pretty good shape with our budget, and I think we're pretty responsible to our taxpayers too. So
Yeah. Well, I know the state, the issue of the state not supporting rural schools has been something that has been talked about for a lot of years. I know that when they created a formula a number of years ago, and it seemed like more and more money was going to the urban schools, to the Omaha, Lincoln, those area big city schools, and less and less is coming here. I seem to remember at one point we were getting over $1 million a year in state funding, and now it's down to, I don't know what's down to now, but I know it's
nothing,
nowhere near $1
basically,
million.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, the formula is supposed to promote equity, and I think it worked really well until what happened. I don't know. I suppose it's been 4 or 5 years now. Ag property values went through the roof, and so they went up so fast that it threw the formula out of balance, and so. It's an equalization formula, meaning when they plug the formula into Wayne Community Schools, what it shows is that our property tax owners can support the school at about 83% of our budget, and so most of the state dollars, which is over $1 billion, goes to the larger districts, the urban districts. They don't have the tax base that to support the amount of, Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, Kearney, the bigger, they've got most of the kids. And so it's not their fault either. It's just the formula is not working right now. And so somehow I think they need that funding because they're not able to generate as much maybe as rural districts can. But the onus of what we're doing is going to our patrons. And so somehow we need to get back to that balance. Years ago, we were receiving about $1.7 million in state aid, which was really good for Wayne Community Schools because we were able to use that funds and offset that a little bit with our property tax requests. In 1 year, it went from $1.8 million to $39,000. When the year that those valuations went through the roof, our state aid dropped off the charts, and so it took us a couple of years to recover from that a little bit. And I think we're at a place where we're able to do that. But really, in my mind, I guess the way I look at it is students at Wayne are just as important as students at Omaha, are just important as students in western Nebraska at a small rural school there. They're Nebraska kids. And the state should, at some level, support all of our kids. And so somehow, and I don't have an answer, believe me, if I did, I would be giving
You'd be the next governor.
And we've been fortunate. Our local Senator Joni Albright has been, very supportive of our schools. But she also understands what we're talking about, and I think we have a friend there that is willing to go to bat for our students, but also bring a voice to Lincoln that says we've got to think about what's going on with the economy in the state. And so it's tough right now. Yeah. And hopefully they'll find something that works, for all of our kids. Nebraska ranks rather low in state contributions to schools. I think at one point it was 49th in the nation. And I don't know if that's the same. I had heard recent numbers, or maybe we're about 44th or 45th, but still, that's pretty low in terms of the percentage of dollars that go to support public schools. And so where does that money come from? That's
the $1 million question.
Right. And a lot of the state is funded on our ag. I mean, that's the biggest draw in our state is our ag economy. And when our ag economy is healthy, Nebraska is healthy financially. And so hopefully they'll figure something out. I know there's some interim studies going on over the summer, and I hope they come back with something that helps, because it would help our district and our patrons. We want to provide a high quality education to our kids, and I believe our patrons want that too. But we just need to strike some balance there.
Yeah. We're talking with Mark Lenihan, the superintendent of schools here at Wayne Community Schools and the Voice of Wayne America podcast. And wrap things up. Let's wrap it up on a lighter note. I know you're a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, I
Yes.
believe, and the NFL season a couple weeks away. What are the Vikings' chances of finally winning a Super Bowl?
I'm a true Vikings fan. I'm born and raised in Minnesota, and so I've been through about every disappointment. We're beginning to get close to what the Chicago Cubs went through, and I think they were about 100 years. So the Vikings look really good this year. They have about as good of a team as I've seen, with a new quarterback, Kirk Cousins. They've got two phenomenal running backs. Their defense is probably one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I am cautiously optimistic, because I am a true Viking fan. And you never can think anything other than being cautiously optimistic, because at some point the other shoe's going to fall.
Yeah.
But they look really good. I barring of course injuries and all those things, I think they have a chance to take a pretty good run. But I'm not going to
get ahead of yourself.
Too excited about that until it happens. When it happens. Well, you experienced that with your Seahawks.
Oh boy, time and time again.
I know.
Went through a
but
lot.
They won it a few years ago.
They have won one. They've been to Super Bowl 3 times and won one. So they have that. I talking about the Vikings. My first memory of watching the Super Bowl was Super Bowl 9, when they played the Steelers.
Right.
And I was rooting for the Vikings that day. I wanted the Vikings to win, and I was so heartbroken when they lost.
2-0 at halftime.
2-0 at halftime. Yeah, Fran Tarkenton got sacked in the end zone for a safety.
Yeah, and then that's the game where he tried to throw 2 passes to himself, and he threw a ball, it got blocked. He caught it, and then I don't know if he threw it again or something illegal that was a big turning point of the game.
Yeah.
I think he caught it, and then he was Fran the man. He's scrambling Fran Tarkenton, so he ran around. And then he threw it again, I think is what happened, and you can't throw 2 passes in the same down. So, but yeah, I've been through all of those heartbreaks. There's been more in NFC Championship games that have been almost harder than the Super Bowl losses.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but they look good. I'm a big football fan, big college and pro fan, and so I like this time of year just for that, and looking forward to the fall sports season here at Wayne too. I love fall season. There's so much going on. There's volleyball, there's softball, there's cross country, golf, football. I mean, we've got a lot. I was just doing another interview, and over half of our teams compete in the fall, and so it's busy, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's going to be an exciting year for Wayne High sports with football, what they did last year, how they're going to come back this year and do it, and softball moving down to Class C. I think they got a chance to win a state title with what they have back, and the other sports, I think all have a chance to be successful this year. I think it's going to be a really fun school year for.
I do too. I think our teams will do really well, and I'm excited. Our volleyball team, I think, is on the up and coming, and softball is always perennially strong, and we've got. Football they had such a good year last year. We lost some really key players, but Coach Plager has been encouraged about the first couple weeks of practice here, and so we're hoping that we have a good year there too, and so. But we have good people leading those programs, and that a lot of it is that, and so we're excited.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a great school year here at Wayne Community Schools, and looking forward to what lies ahead for the school and the school district here. We're talking with Mark Lenihan, Superintendent of Schools here on the Voice of Wayne America podcast. Mark, thanks a lot for taking time to talk this week, and looking forward to 2018 and 19 here.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Mike. We appreciate all that you do for our school, all the coverage you do, and all the extra things you do that I know you put in a lot of time, and we appreciate that as well. So thank you for your coverage of our schools.
Thanks a lot. It's nice to hear that. That's going to do it for this edition of the Voice of Wayne America podcast. We'll have another edition coming up here very soon here on WayneAmerica.com. Until then, have yourselves a good one, and we'll see you later.